Can you become a police officer with a felony? Many police aspirants are wondering, can you be a cop with a felony? But do we exactly know what does a felony charge mean? Let's begin the article by discussing the actual meaning of the felony charges so that we can better understand the subject matter. The question of can become a police officer with a felony remains. The sure and short answer to this question is, no, you can't become a police officer within a felony charge. The felony charges are often given against serious crimes, and the police departments do not need to hire the criminals who have committed serious crimes. For this reason, any individual who is charged with felony charges is not eligible to become a part of the police department. We assume that your question of can you become a police officer with a felony is addressed. However, there is a scenario under which the individual of felony charges is still eligible to become a police officer. The scenario is if the felony against the individual is expunged. In an interview, a senior police officer was asked, "Can you become a police officer with an expunged felony?" The officer replied with a yes and said it depends on the state in which the individual was convicted. If the court has ordered to expunge the felony, the individual has bright chances of joining the police force as an officer. Why doesn't the police department hire felons? The police department works to ensure the smooth well-being of society, and they do so by enforcing the rules and laws. Many factors compel the police departments not to hire felons. This section of the video will discuss why felons can't become a part of the police department. Can a convicted felon become a police officer? No, felons can't become police officers because felons are not allowed to carry firearms for the rest of their lives. Imagine the police department hires an individual who is convicted of a felony. Would the individual be able to carry out the tasks efficiently? Perhaps not. Having a restriction not to carry firearms would naturally limit the felon to carry out the tasks efficiently. Secondly, the felon can't be a cop because the public and government institutions do not trust the individuals who have committed serious crimes. This lack of trust can become problematic for the public and the police department itself. This must answer your question of, can I become a cop with a felony? The police department wants to hire individuals who have a positive attitude towards society and take a leading role to contribute positively to the community. On the other hand, the felons are not capable of these traits. They are not interested in leadership roles, and they have the habit of betraying even after they are released from the prisons. You can't become a police officer with felony charges for these reasons. Can you become a police officer with a criminal record? Many people out there wonder, can a criminal become a cop? The answer to this question depends on the nature of the criminal record. There are different types of crimes, and individuals who have not committed serious crimes are still eligible to become a part of the police department. There is a police officer with a criminal record serving in different police departments. So, having a criminal record isn't that bad unless the crime committed is not that serious. You might also be wondering, can you become a police officer with an expunged misdemeanor? The misdemeanor charges are not that serious, and an individual who has misdemeanor charges is eligible to become a part of the police department. However, the misdemeanor charges shall not include the charges of domestic abuse and violence against individuals. The misdemeanor charges don't need to be expunged. Even if they are not expunged, you can become a part of the police department. The criminal charges that can prevent you from being a police officer include controlled use of substances other than marijuana. Since the consumption of marijuana is legalized, the police department does not consider it a serious offense. Sale of any illegal substance during the past 5 years. A felony conviction. Having a suspended driving license in the past 3 years. Conviction of a sexual offense. Now that you've heard these points, your question of can you be a police officer with a criminal record must be addressed. Avoid committing any of these crimes, and you are eligible to be a part of the police department. The best thing you can do for yourself is avoid being involved in any unlawful practices. This will help you improve your profile and fall in the good books of the police department. Since you are going to become the guardian of the law, you must first behold it so that you can set an example. In most cases, the answer is no. You cannot become a police officer with a felony on your record. However, there are some exceptions. Some states allow felons to become police officers if they have been pardoned or if their conviction was expunged. Felons who want to become police officers should research the specific requirements for their state. Some people argue that felons should not be allowed to become police officers because they may not uphold the same standards as other officers. Others argue that former felons have paid their debt to society and deserve a second chance. There are pros and cons to both sides of this argument, but ultimately it is up to each state to decide whether or not felons can become police officers. So, can you become a police officer with a felony? The answer is it depends on your state. Some states allow felons to become police officers, while others do not. It is essential to research the specific requirements for your state before applying to be a police officer. Do not give up hope if you have a felony on your record. There may be some exceptions in your state that allow you to become a police officer. Just because you have a felony conviction on your record does not mean you can't become a police officer. Many individuals have made this career choice with a felony on their record. However, it is not an easy path, and there are some things you will need to do to increase your chances of success. One of the first things you will need is to talk to the police department where you want to work. Each department has its own set of rules and regulations when it comes to hiring officers with felony convictions. Some departments may be more forgiving than others, but it is essential to determine the specific requirements. In addition to talking to the department, you will also need to make sure you have a solid resume. This document is your opportunity to sell yourself and highlight your accomplishments. Ensure any volunteer work or community service you have done in the past. If you have any letters of recommendation, be sure to include them as well. The final thing you will need to do is attend a police academy. This is where you will learn about the law and enforce it. It is important to note that not all police academies accept applicants with felony convictions. However, some do, so it is worth contacting a few academies in your area to see if they will accept you. Overall, becoming a police officer with a felony on your record is not impossible, but it definitely would be easy. However, if you are willing to put in the work, you can achieve your goal. Can you be a cop if you've been arrested? There is a common misconception among the people, and they believe that being arrested means disqualification from the police department. However, you must know that being arrested and convicted are two different things. Detained everyone doesn't need to get a conviction from the court. Can you be a police officer with a misdemeanor DUI? DUI conviction isn't a disqualification for law enforcement agencies. The DUI conviction can only become a disqualification if the case is still pending in court, or your driver's license has been canceled due to the conviction. Under both these conditions, the law enforcement agencies will not hire you, so make sure that you do not have any of these problems. Another important factor in the cases of DUI is the conviction of alcohol. If you are convicted of alcohol consumption several times, you are likely to get disqualified from being selected as a police officer. Police departments that hire felons. None of the police departments in the United States hire felons. The job of police officers comes with a huge responsibility, therefore, the candidates are selected carefully to carry out the challenging tasks. Secondly, the funding of police officers is done through the taxpayers' money, and the law enforcement agencies can't afford to pay the people who have committed serious crimes in the United States. For more valuable information like this, just visit our official website.